I sold Jif peanut butter, right? Yeah.
Men have discovered work-life balance.
But ultimately, I don't think I'd join a cult because I don't like doing chores.
So, during 2020, I had a lot of free time, like a lot. And I wanted to use it to better myself in some way. And I didn't. Like, I worsened myself quite a bit. I'm not responsible. I lose stuff. If there's an important document, I don't have it. I'm a constant disappointment to the DMV. Sir, do you have your social security card? I haven't seen that in 30 years. Sir, it's an important document. Well, then you guys shouldn't have printed it on a gum wrapper, okay? At least the passport people made a book out of their thing. It's got pages and a cover, and yes, I lost that one too, but I shouldn't have. Sir, do you have your birth certificate? My birth certificate? That document is 54 years old. I also don't have the Declaration of Independence. You can get a new birth certificate. You know, you just got to write to the state. But you can get one. I lose them all the time. I'm like, can I just get a book of 50? Is there a birth certificate of the month club or something I could join? Then they start with the car questions. Do you have a title for your car? I never thought of one. The sedan with a plan. My friend told me if you get the vaccine, that's the government's way of putting a chip inside of you. If that's the case, like, I'm very grateful. I mean, that's going to make the DMV a better place for everybody. Sir, we need to see your paperwork. I'm pretty sure it's in here. I got my shot in my left arm. Just get your chip reader out. It's back there. Yeah, it'll beep like a metal detector. I think if I could ask a favor while you're in there, I forgot my Apple ID. If you could look it up. I tried 3 times and they locked me out. And irresponsible. I'm not a good driver. I hit stuff. Cars, primarily. And I spend a lot of money on insurance, but I use it. I mean, my friend was like, Greg, I've never been in one accident in my entire life. I'm like, well, how do you know your insurance works? Like, mine works overtime, you know? Like, I pay a lot. I should pay a lot, but I want more from my insurance company. First of all, they say they're going to send you an insurance card. Stop calling it a card. It's a piece of paper, okay? I want a card. $3,500 I gave you guys last year. You can afford to send me a card. At least laminate the card. The library laminates their cards. I don't think the whole library system made $3,500 last year. They don't send you a card. They send you a piece of paper, and it's got a dotted line on it with a picture of a scissors. No, you cut it. I'm not cutting it. Not for $3,500. You can hire a couple of cutters up there for that kind of money. And if I do cut it, I'm not cutting on that stupid line. I'll cut whatever shape happens to come out. The cop's gonna be like, can I see your insurance? Swan? Is that a swan? Is that what that is, sir? Did you make a swan, son? If you get a piece of paper in the mail and it's got a picture of a scissors on it, just know you're doing business with some greedy dirtbags. At least back in the day, they did a thing called perforation. Perforation. Remember that? That was their way of saying, hey, we're not going to cut it, but we'll get you started. You know, it was a fair deal. Each side gave a little bit. You felt like you were being treated like a customer. There is no more perforation. It doesn't exist. The only thing left that's perforated is toilet paper, and I'm telling you right now, if Charmin starts putting scissor pictures on their product, I'm going to have a real problem with that. Yeah. That's That's where I draw the line. And I'm not talking about a dotted line. Somebody in here is old enough to remember they would give you a card. Every 6 months, the insurance company would send you a plastic card. It looked like a credit card. You put it in your wallet, you felt like a man. Now if I get pulled over, I have to unfold a little piece of paper. It looks like a note from my mom. Like, please excuse Gregory from any bad driving. He lacks concentration, but he's a nice boy. There's a note from my dad at the bottom. He doesn't lack concentration, Colleen. He lacks brains. He's an idiot. He can't drive. They're just greedy. They're greedy, you know. Hey, this is Stan in finance, and I was running the numbers, and we only made $178 billion last year. We're going to have to save some money somewhere. Here's what I'm going to do. No more plastic. Send them paper. Put a scissor picture on there. They think they're doing a craft project. Then, a couple years later, hey, it's Stan, I got a better idea. Don't send them paper, send them an email. They can use their own paper. Pretty soon, it's going to be like, hey, if they want a card, tell them type something up, write the word insurance on the back of a bonnet paper towel. We don't care. We already got their money. Tell them it's for the environment. I read my car insurance card. On the front of it, it says, do not discuss the fault of an accident with anybody except for the police or your insurance agent. And I remembered it, but I got it mixed up with my health insurance card. I was at the doctor. He's like, what's wrong? I'm like, I'm not telling you nothing. I'm not talking. You guys are great. You guys are awesome. So I didn't used to do this. Like this wasn't my job, you know. I was in the peanut butter game. You think that's funny, man? I guess you've never heard a little thing called lunch. Like, I was part of that. Like, I sold Jif. I sold Jif peanut butter, right? Yeah. There's a reason why we're doing this special in Lexington, Kentucky. Jif is made here. Yeah. Jif is the best peanut butter, okay? It's the best peanut butter. Our motto was, choosy moms, choose Jif. Choosy moms, not all moms, okay? Let's say maybe your mom who drinks in the afternoon and goes to the casino and forgets to pick up your kids from school. If that's the case, by all means, buy Peter Pan. Okay, that's a better product for you, all right? Like, Peter Pan, come on, their mascot is a boy who refused to grow up. Maybe he couldn't grow up because he was malnourished, because he was eating that garbage peanut butter named after a cartoon character. Peter Pan can fly because he has hollow bones. There's no nutrients in Peter. Now listen, I'm gonna talk a lot about peanut butter, okay? It's an important subject, but I need to address something up top. It's been a rough year for Jif, okay? If you guys don't know what happened, we had a problem. Some people, barely any, like 14, got some salmonella, okay? And they traced it back to Jif, okay? And Jif did the right thing. They pulled it off the shelves nationwide. They pulled it all off, and I feel bad about it. I mean, I didn't do it, all right? But like, I wish I could go back 20 years when I worked there and say, like, hey, if you guys are thinking about coming up with some sort of a raw chicken-flavored peanut butter, don't. Like, it's a bad idea, you know, like. And just so you know, like, that happened in 2006 with Peter Pan. They had the same thing, you know. They had a recall, salmonella. Just this year, Skippy had some metal particles in their peanut butter, and they had to pull it off the shelves. And you guys are like, well, Greg, it's never happened with organic peanut butter. Yeah, that's because they've only sold, like, 30 jars of that stuff, right? You know what I'm talking about, the organic peanut butter? It's got like an inch of oil on the top of it. Looks like a science project on the grocery shelves. You know, well, Greg, that's how peanut butter naturally settles. Well, then cover it up. Nobody wants to see that. Yeah? Greg, your peanut butter has preservatives in it. That's why it doesn't do that. Yeah, that's exactly why it doesn't do that. Yeah. Maybe we're trying to preserve people's appetites, right? Like, Greg, you just take a knife and you stir the jar and the oil goes away. Oh, now I'm supposed to help you make the peanut butter? Why don't you just hand me a bag of peanuts and a hammer next time? I'll smash them up myself. Me eater, you maker. Now listen. There's probably somebody out there, and your mom made you eat organic peanut butter when you were growing up. If that's the case, obviously you were homeschooled. That's why you're homeschooled. Your mom did not want you to go to school and sit next to the Jif kid and have that kid be like, "Hey, there's another way to live." And maybe you're a parent, okay? Maybe you're a parent and you force your child to eat organic peanut butter. And if that's the case, I'm not going to tell you how to raise your own kid. I am going to gently suggest that you at least expose them to some different peanut butter, before you send them off into the world. Because I don't know if you've ever seen an organic peanut butter kid go off the deep end. It is not pretty. Okay, these kids... They spend 18 years eating it, then they go off to college. They have one bite of a Jif sandwich. 6 weeks later, they're passed out on a park bench with Nutter Butters all over their face. We got a lot of that business at Jif. We didn't want it. That's blood money right there. We took it. But, Now, the company that I work for was called Procter & Gamble, okay? They don't own Jif anymore. You know who owns Jif? Smuckers. Smuckers owns peanut butter and jelly. If these guys ever get a hold of bread. Now the government will step in. That's an illegal monopoly. That's Sherman antitrust, I think. I mean, you can't own a whole sandwich. This country was founded on principles. Right? But, I mean, I'll be honest. I was a big deal. In the... Ma'am, I was, all right? Like, I was a big deal in the peanut butter game, okay? I was part of some stuff that I'm sure you'll remember. I was part of the team that launched the first low salt, low sugar peanut butter into the category. It was called Simply Jif. It was targeted towards diabetics. I wanted to call it Type 2 Peanut Goo, but... I liked it, I always felt guilty because we charged the same for crunchy as we did for creamy, which, if you think about it, the crunchy, we didn't finish making that. If you went to the plant, the crunchy guys are probably getting off work at noon, and the creamy guys are still smashing up peanuts at 5:30. The savings should have been passed on to you, and I still lose sleep over it. I'm a purist, I'll just tell you right now. I'm a peanut butter purist. I think there should be creamy and crunchy, and that's about it, There's a lot of new flavors in peanut butter. They're getting fancy. I don't care for it. Like Peter Pan has honey roasted peanut butter. If I know those guys, they're just grinding up bees and stirring them in there. And I mean, even Jif, my company, they're doing some stuff I don't care for. I mean, they're getting fancy. They have an Omega Jif. Omega Jif. Omega, that's fish oil. They're putting fish in peanut butter, and they're wondering how they got salmonella. What kind of fish was it? Salmon, maybe? What? Are you guys not seeing what I'm seeing here? I mean, I know a lot of stuff. I mean, just so you know, the main size in peanut butter, that's 18 ounce, okay? That's where the deals are. That's where the wars are fought. That's where we go head to head, you know. There's a 28 ounce, there's a 40 ounce, but the deals are, they're 18 ounce. And like, if you went to Kroger right now and you bought an 18 ounce jar of Jif, it would probably cost you about $3.19. You know, back to school, maybe 2 for $3. If that happens, stock up. It's not coming around for another year. All right? Like, I ran a deal one time, Columbus, Ohio, 200 Kroger stores, 18 ounce Jif, 99 cents. Yeah, I did that. It'll never happen again. Never. Even the bad moms bought Jif that week. Mama, this peanut butter tastes better. Don't get used to it, boy. I ain't giving up cigarettes and I ain't giving up Red Bull. So when it's gone, it's gone. That was a unchoosy mom. Like, I'm sure you've all seen an unchoosy mom at the grocery store, right? Like yelling at their kid or something. Like, choosy, I wasn't choosy when I met your daddy. I ain't about to start with no peanut butter. You better put that brand name peanut butter back on the shelf or I might choose to leave you in the parking lot. Like I did your brother. You didn't know you had a brother, did you?
Okay, let me tell y'all that my middle child is 23 now, and she's the only one that checks on me. She called me a few minutes ago and said, "Did you get to Naples all right?" And I said, "Yeah, baby. Thank you for asking. Tell your daddy." She is a beauty, and she is smart and hateful. And we've been scared to death of her all of her life. And it really got bad when she was about 16 or 17. Have any of y'all been through that? We walked on eggshells around her. She'd come down the steps in the morning, we'd be like, "Who is it?" "I don't know." And it happened when she was about 16 or 17. She turned on me on a dime. And I truly believe that God allows this because he knows that you're grieving because they're going to go to college or whatever they're going to do. And he makes them just as mean as he can so that you can let them go. The very breath that I breathed out of my nostrils made her so angry. We were not allowed to eat cereal in our own home because she couldn't stand to hear us chew it. And I don't mean to talk about her because she had a lot on her. She had to empty the dishwasher. That was a lot. She's always had a bunch of boys after because she's a doll, and they always wanted to date her and always came around our house. And there was one, and he was a player. He was a schmoozer. And he would say stuff to me. He'd go, "Miss Morgan, you look beautiful today." And I'd be like, "Oh my gosh, can I make you a casserole?" And thank goodness they broke up because I was exhausted. I was mopping the floor, blowing my hair out every day. And I thought, why did that affect me that way? Why did I? And I thought, oh, I know. It's because my love language is words of affirmation. And I don't get them. So I got hoodooed by this boy. My husband and I read that book and went to a Sunday school retreat years ago. And it was the 5 love languages. Have y'all read that? I know. It's good. And it works. It really does. But you read the book and you take the test. And you and your husband, example, you and your husband will take the test. And it'll tell you, there's 5 prominent love languages. It'll tell you what your husband's prominent love language is. He'll find out what yours is. So at night, y'all can sit on the couch and feed each other y'all's love language. And then your love tank feels full. If you don't, your husband's liable to go to work and is standing by the water fountain and some whore comes in and feeds him his love language, and then he feels a tingle, and then Satan swoops in. I know. Terrible. So here's the 5 love languages, if y'all don't know. There's quality time. So there's people that just want you to sit with them and watch a television show or something like that. Then there's gifts. That's my sister's. It does not have to be something that's expensive. If you give her a rose and a card, she'll bawl her eyes out because her love tank feels full. I know. And her husband doesn't do it. Okay. All right, and then there's physical touch. And so many women, when I say that, they'll go, oh, yeah, that's my husband's. He's on me like a duck on a June bug. But we're not talking about the nasty kind. We're talking about, people that just want to squeeze and hug and hold on to you. That's their love language, is physical touch. And then there's words of affirmation, so that's mine. So all my husband has to say is, Leanne, you look pretty today. Or, Leanne, that Trisha Yearwood's chicken piccata is to die for. And then my love tank feels full. And then I'm willing to do something vulgar with him. And then he gives me money to get my hair highlighted. Oh, that's how it works. That's biblical. Okay, y'all. My baby, my middle one, the whole time she was in high school, so ashamed of me and so embarrassed by me, but loves me more than anybody. Now we're best friends, but I'm telling y'all, everything I did made her so mad. And I remember showing up at middle school in a pair of yoga pants. She goes, "What are you doing here?" I thought I looked so cute. But anyway, she had a bunch of little girls always spending the night, and she had this little girl spend the night, and the little girl stayed a couple of nights, so I did her laundry, and all I said, this little girl was, "Katie, you're so tiny. Your little underwear looks like a slingshot." And that little girl thought it was funny. And my baby looked at me and went. So I got out of there, and when that little girl left, I came back in. I said, "What's wrong with me saying that her little panties look like a slingshot? I wish somebody'd say my panties look like a slingshot." Nick, my panties look like a catapult. Did you ever watch Braveheart and Mel Gibson? Boys, y'all ever watch that? When they pull that big thing back, put a ball in it and fling it and kill a bunch of people with it? That's what my panties look like. My baby child is 22 now. She lives in New York and goes to school up there, and we miss her, and she's been a doll baby. And her daddy and I, we begged her to go to Phoenix Online, and she was like, "Get out of my butthole." So y'all just stare at me, and she smells good. But anyway, my husband is 6'4", 230 pounds, 250 if he's eating white flour and sugar. He plays a lot of tennis, and it got on my nerves so bad because I had no estrogen, no progesterone, no testosterone, and I was crazy. Okay, his testosterone dipped a little. Praise God. And then it went back up when he started playing tennis again, and that makes it naturally go up. It made me so mad. Anyway, my husband's athletic and played football and basketball. I played basketball. I know y'all thinking, "You sissy thing, you did not." But I did. It was the early 80s. I had really big hair. I'm from a town of 500 people in Middle Tennessee, and we grow dark-fired tobacco. And we didn't know what waterproof mascara was. So by the end of the games, I looked like, say, if Tammy Wynette and Alice Cooper had a child together. I played forward. Sometimes I had to play center if Mary Rowland had to take her baby to the health department. But anyway, so we wanted these children to be in sports, keep them off of dope. And my baby child, all my children are tall kids because I'm 5'8", and I think I'm getting bigger by the day. I think my feet are spreading. I think my hands are big. I see my hands in a video. I take pictures, and all these little women come up to here on me. I look like... Okay. Well, my baby child grew really quick, really fast, and was 5'6" in elementary school. And I think it was my fault. I think it was all that chicken. I think if anybody's in here my age, we didn't know about hormone-free back then. No, everybody, I know. All that milk, it had stuff in it. Lord, I've raised her on a bunch of chicken and milk. Anyway, I would not do that to a grandbaby now. Okay, so she was very tall, very self-conscious, and she was taller than all the teachers, the principal, all the little children. Good news is very athletic and very strong. So all these teams around East Tennessee would call me, and they'd say, can she play goalkeeper for our team? We'll get her an iPhone. Can she play basketball for us? She never played basketball. And y'all, it tickled me. And I felt like LeBron James's mama. And I made her do it. And she came to me one day and she goes, I'm sick of all this. I'm not going to play all this for y'all. She goes, I want to cheer. I said, well, baby, we're big people. And we don't tumble. Let me see what I can find out. There's a thing in the United States called competition cheer. And I bet it's big in Florida. Yeah. If you don't know what it is, it's kind of like Honey Boo Boo meets stripping meets the Olympics. Because they're gymnasts, is what they are. They're very talented gymnasts. So there's one in Knoxville called Premier Sharks. And I dropped her off to audition or try out, whatever you want to call it. We didn't know anything about it. And this little woman, they ended up putting her on a bad Mamma Jamma squad because all the little children her age came up to hear on her. And somebody's got to throw them up in the air. So they were thrilled to have her. She's strong as a mule. So they said it's $150 a month for her to come in and take 2 nights a week to learn a 2.5-minute routine. I was like, okay. And they said, there's a uniform that we're going to order for her. And it sequins up the sleeve, comes to right here, exposes her little tummy. She's going to have on a tiny little skirt with a slit in it with a glitter panty underneath it. And I said, that's a whore outfit. And it came with its own bag of whore makeup. And the woman said, y'all are going to travel to faraway lands and compete against other little whore children. Places like Atlanta and Cincinnati. So we get in the car and drive all night, get a hotel room, and then the next morning go to a coliseum with tens of thousands of little whore children walking around. And they said it's $150 to enter your baby in this competition. It's $30 for you and your husband to wear a band to get in and watch her in this competition. Somebody was selling corn dogs for $15. Anyway, they start out with the babies, and the babies are yummy, and they're 5, and you could eat their lips on. And they got on a skirt about this big, and their little mamas are probably in their late 20s, early 30s, and they're not bitter yet. And so the little girls come out to Beyonce's All the Single Ladies. And their little mamas are in the front doing every move, trying to keep them on track because they're babies and they need to be at home breastfeeding. So they go up in age throughout the day and they call my baby's group and they go, Reef Sharks. For 2.5 minutes, my baby throws little children up in the air, working like a Trojan, broken out in a sweat. And the whole time she's throwing these little children up, and they're called flyers. And they are freakish, tiny little children. And their mamas are freaky, tiny little women. And I think, how do they even have these little babies? I'm from farming people. I've got thick ankles. I can work in the fields. I don't know who these people are. Anyway, these little flyers, she's throwing them up in the air, and the whole time during this 2.5 minutes, they're going. And nobody knows why. And that goes on, and then it's the finale. And 25, 30 little girls put their forehead on the ground and hunker down. And the finale is my baby. My baby hops up and has got a little girl's foot in her hand. Are y'all listening to me over there? When's the last time y'all put somebody's... The gay boys went nuts. It was a big deal, okay? So then they were like, oh, she's got to do it again. We got to have her next, because she didn't drop anybody and give anybody concussion. Those mamas had me on speed dial. They loved her. But she was like, you know what? I've got spirit. I know I do. But she said, I'm tired of this. I got it out of my system. She said, I'm not going to do it anymore, but I'm keeping that whore outfit.
I drove here in my minivan. That makes it really hard to feel cool, you know? And by the way, I used to drive a cool car, and let me tell you, when you drive a sexy vehicle around a hip part of town, you feel like, I'm the Wolf of Wall Street. You spend a few years driving a Honda Odyssey around a neighborhood called Pleasant Oak, and it becomes, I'm just trying to be more like those dogs on Bluey. I have to drive a minivan. I have to live in the suburbs because I have 6 kids. All right, well, you guys might be interested in my masterclass on responsible family planning. It's 20 seconds long, and it's called Just Don't. It's so funny, because I think back to when I was younger, people said that I should not have kids. They were very rude about it. They're like, Jen, you have no maternal instincts. You never will. You running a house with actual children in it, oh, that'd be a disaster. And now I have this big family, and I think back on that, and I'm like, they were so right. How did they know? They nailed it. No, guys, I had to have 6 kids. I am an only child. My husband is an only child. My father was an only child. My family tree was becoming a stump. Your annual family reunion should not fit at one table at Applebee's. And we went for it. We had 6 babies in 8 years. I said that at a comedy club one time, and a guy with face tattoos pushes through the crowds afterward. He had piercings all over his face, too. And he runs up to me and he says, hey, I really respect your alternative lifestyle. Let me tell you, when you announce your second pregnancy, people say, are you trying to get a boy and a girl? You announce your 6th pregnancy in 8 years, and people say, are you trying to get a reality show on TLC? What is wrong with you? So my husband and I just had a big anniversary. Yep. We have now been married 20 years. Now, those of you who have been married for a while know that as the years go on, you have to be intentional to keep the spice alive. So, for our 20th anniversary, I finally let my husband live his ultimate fantasy. I told him that for a whole night, I would take any constructive criticism he had for me. Okay, now you guys are pretty young, but when I say this in front of middle-aged crowds, there's always a couple 60-year-old guys in the back who are like, that is so hot. They're like, is there a place where I can just watch that on the internet? Like, that's what I'm into in this phase of life. No, that was a wild night. I haven't spoken to him since then, but... Now, this is the point, talking about kids and marriage, where a lot of people would make graphic jokes about how those children were conceived, how they were brought into the world. I will not be doing that because my husband is a very private person. He would have you know that we reproduce asexually. Like amoeba. He is so uptight about this kind of thing that he will not even send me any flirty texts. I try. A couple weeks ago, I texted him, "Hey there, looking pretty sexy today." He replied, "Received." With a period. I said, "What are you worried about? We're married." He said, "You're not thinking. What about this? What if we got into legal trouble and our phones got subpoenaed and our texts to one another were read aloud in open court?" I said, okay, if that scenario played out, we would have a lot bigger issues than a couple of eggplant emoji. He hesitated to ask me out when we first met because I'm 3 inches taller than he is. And he said, "I know a lot of women don't want to date shorter guys." I said, when I was single, I was goal-oriented. I said, "Look, if I can just find a man who is loving, who is supportive, who respects my boundaries by not asking me how much money I spent at Target, I don't care if he played one of the Munchkins in The Wizard of Oz. I'll stuff that man into a baby Bjorn. Take him out for a date night. We'll have a lovely time." You don't have to be able to ride a roller coaster with your spouse. It's not like a requirement, for a good marriage. People often comment, they say, "Jen, your husband is so supportive of your career." And he really is, because he doesn't want to work anymore. I have a theory that on a deep caveman level, it is very important to men to be the primary providers for their wives and children for about 15, 20 years, and then they're out. I see these young wives on Instagram who are like, "My husband completely provides financially for our entire family because for us, it's a sacred journey." I'm like, "Girl, you're in a relay race. You just don't know it. That man's gonna hit his 43rd birthday, run up to you, throw the baton at you, be like, 'This is your problem now. I'm out.'" This was surprising to me because my husband went to Yale. When I was dating him, I thought, man, if I can just get a ring on it. The minute we say "I do," poof, all of my financial problems disappear. Single ladies, I need to inform you. Men have discovered work-life balance. So if that's the plan you want to get on, you're gonna need to go for old money. A couple years ago, he sat me down and he said, "Jen, you stayed home with our children for so many years. Let it be my turn now." I said, "Okay, so I stayed home with them when they were a bunch of screaming gremlins. Now you're willing to stay home with them when they are a jovial brood of free bartenders and chauffeurs." And we got a lot of kids, so he's got like 2 dedicated kids just to make his queso. You know when I should have known this was coming? A while back, he started sending me a lot more girl boss memes on Instagram. It would be like, girls can do anything. Careers are for girls. A girl could support 6 kids while her husband goes sailing with his friend Scott. I was like, is he making these? Like, I will say he is a very frugal man. So much so that he convinced our children that there's a very special elf at the North Pole. This elf is in charge of quality control. And he puts his special bright orange little sticker on only the finest toys. And his name is Clarence. The kids would open their toys at Christmas and he'd be like, oh, darn it, did they misspell Clarence's name again? Ha ha. Oh. But Clarence is killing it. He is almost as good as the Easter Bunny's assistant rollback. He's like, these guys are incredible. I learned the hard way, do not let your very frugal spouse get gifts for the tooth fairy to give. My daughter had lost a tooth. It was time to set out the tooth fairy gifts. And I said, all right, what did you get? I knew it would be something from the discount bin at Walmart. So he pulls out his bag. The first thing he has in there, I swear to you this is true. Hand on my Bible app, I swear. It's a floppy rubber rat. I had so many questions, starting with like, where does the market demand for this product come from? You know, who was like, our home is not complete without, I don't know. I was like, okay, what else did you get? So he pulled out a bottle that had liquid in it. And I said, oh, is it a fragrance? He said, sort of. It was deer lure. Deer come to our neighborhood and my daughter likes to see them. And he's like, look, check it out. It says authentic female deer urine, guaranteed to attract a mate. Kind of genius, right? I said, I just have to take a moment. So this is where our house is now. The tooth fairy is bringing pee. And it's for hunters. So on the back, there was a picture of an angry buck with rifle crosshairs over his little deer face. I said, this is literally the worst tooth fairy gift in the world. But it was 11 p.m. and I didn't have any better ideas, so that is what we left. Imagine my daughter rolling over that morning. She's like, oh, what did she sees what looks like a dead rat and a bottle of animal urine with a deer that's about to be shot on it. I don't think she thought the tooth fairy came. I think she thought the mafia came.
I am trying to get it together for all of you. I just went back to the dentist for the first time in 3 years for this, so needless to say, he was not thrilled with what I'd been up to with my own adult mouth in my off time. I feel like, personally, there's too much guilt at the dentist. They lay it on heavy. I thought as I got older, it would go away, but this is not true. Doesn't matter how old you get. Every time you go into the dentist, he's like, you didn't do your dentist homework, did ya? I feel like the guilt is not needed. I also don't know if dentists know they're the only ones doing this. Other medical professionals, it does not happen to the same degree. When I go to the optometrist, if my eyesight gets worse, he's not like, what were you doing? Were you looking? Quit looking so hard. And brush your eyes or something. Like, if anything, my optometrist is too blasé. Every time I go in there, he's like, you could drive without your glasses. If you want. I'm like, I don't want to. He's like, come on, do it, you coward. Do it at night. Let me follow you and film it. There's an expression I love to describe an attractive person, which is to say that they are easy on the eyes. It's an old-timey expression. People say that. Take a look at them. They're easy on the eyes. It means they're hot, right? And I love this expression because it comes with the implication that unattractive people are hard on our eyes. That can't have ever been true. That's never come up at the eye doctor. I've never gone in. He's like, again, we need to strengthen your prescription. Who are you looking at? Quit going to Walmart. You have got to stop watching so much British television. We can only make the glass so thick, you know. But I do feel like I'm getting my life together. I got married. I did that. I have a wife. Thank you. I got married and I love it. I think it's fantastic. I think if you're thinking about doing it, do it. It's great. So far, it is a lot of being asked to retrieve something by someone who is closer to that thing than you. So if there's not enough of that in your life, tie the knot. You get to have a lot of conversations about geometry, post-matrimony. Yes, I'd love to get you that thing, but I just want you to understand that if I were to draw a line from where I am now to the object you've requested, that line would go through you. In order to complete your request, I'm going to have to walk toward you, arrive at your location, say, excuse me, to you, and then complete my quest. But we'll do it, right? Because that's love or whatever. And if you are a purist, you should know that when I proposed, I did the whole thing, all right? I bought a ring. I spent 6 months' salary. That's right, $400. Great financing plans at Claire's. They'll tell you they don't have store credit, but if you return enough stuff, they have to give it to you. No, it was expensive. I was nervous spending this much on a diamond, on a jewel. I don't really do that. I didn't come from money. I'm from a small town, the kind of town where if a farmer grew a really big pumpkin, we didn't have to go to school. That was the vibe in our town. Like, school's closed, come look at it. Look how big it is. Go ahead, slap it. She can take it. Yeah, we didn't have money. I did not know that we didn't have money because Instagram had not been invented yet. I feel like it was a lot easier to hide your income from your children in the 90s, right? All you had to do is move to a neighborhood where everybody made the same amount of money as you. And you got to be like, go ride your bike around. This is as good as it gets. Don't go over that bridge. I got no idea. The only way I found out that we were not as wealthy as I thought was the first time I went over to a slightly richer family's house for Thanksgiving, and we all sat on the same kind of chair. I was blown away. I was like, you've got 11 of this one chair type? Are you secretly a duke of some sort? Like every holiday meal in my house would be like, Ivan, go get the computer chair for Grandma. I'm dragging it down the hall. I wanted the computer chair. My mom's yelling out of the kitchen, no chance. You are sharing the piano bench with your brother. And you know it. We didn't have a piano, by the way, it's just the bench. My uncle's at the end of the table sitting on a yoga ball. Got a hole in it nobody can find, so he's slowly sinking for the entire meal. And I was like, I don't think we're as rich as I thought. So this was a problem, of course, when it came to buying a diamond ring. I didn't know anything about it. I knew I had to go to a jewelry store. I knew that I was going to interact with a commission salesperson at that store, which I was nervous about because I'm uncomfortable around commission salespeople. I'm very easily bamboozled by their tricks. I'm sure you can all tell this from my general vibe. Anybody watching this that works in sales, as soon as I walked up here, thought to themselves, this guy buys extended warranties. I know what I look like. I don't exactly know the kind of energy I give off on a first impression. I do know that it means if I go to any type of ethnic restaurant, it is a 100% guarantee that I will be cautioned about spice. It's not easy getting a medium with this face. Yeah, I'll have a medium. No, you won't. Not here, you won't. You had our medium? I doubt it. Guy looked like you got a medium yesterday. We had to call an ambulance. So you can have a mild and a milk. There's a lot of things I wish I knew going into this jewelry store. Number one thing I wish I knew about buying an engagement ring is you don't get to take the ring home from the store that day. Whoops, wish I knew that. They gotta make it the right size. So I just drove to the mall, maxed out my credit card, and then drove home with nothing. Like, gee, I sure hope they call. But they did call. I got lucky, I guess. I go back to pick up the ring. This is where it gets weird again. I show up, I was like, hi, my name's Ivan. You said my ring was ready? And the guy goes, oh yeah, okay. Then he goes in the back, he comes out. He's got the ring in a tiny Ziploc bag, like it was evidence in a murder. And he tried to hand it to me like that. I didn't even accept it. And he goes, oh, do you need a box? Yeah. Who's proposing without the box? That's the whole thing. How smooth of a guy do you think I am that I'm gonna kneel down and just dangle that out there like, babe! You wanna stay together till we're dead? They wrote my name on here in pen. Could be your name. But no, she said yes. We had a wedding. It was great. Thank you. I will tell her, you clapped. She planned most of it. I helped, all right? I helped with the registry, which is harder than you think. Putting together a wedding registry is tough, right? You gotta be careful about what you put on your wedding registry. Can't put anything too expensive on there, or your friends will be like, who did they think they are? And you also can't put anything too cheap on there, because you are definitely getting that for sure. Especially if you are friends with comedians, I found out. We got one dishcloth from a couple. Do you understand? They pooled their resources to send us a single dishcloth, which I did not scan any single dishcloths. I scanned a 3-pack. They somehow found a way to get one out of there and have it mailed to us with their regards. And my wife, very traditional, she's like, you need to send them a thank you card. I was like, I think the stationery for the thank you card is gonna cost more than this dishcloth. I'm gonna write it on the dishcloth. Get me a Sharpie, that's what I'm gonna do. She was like, you have to do it. So I'd be like, fine. Dear Darcy and Jeremy, thank you so much for sending us one dishcloth. We sure hope it comes up in rotation when you are at our home. Oh, should the fates align in such a way, what a day that will be. And then, of course, there are people that reject the idea of a registry altogether, right? Even if you send one out, they will not pay attention to it. Usually, this person is your aunt. I don't know why. Everybody has one aunt that looks at a wedding registry and goes, oh, you have a registry? Yeah, I'm just gonna buy you a plate that is too big for any cupboard on earth. Yes, I would like one of your kitchen cabinets to remain slightly ajar for the rest of your lives. Blessings and prosperity upon you. We did get one off-registry gift, though, that we loved. We thought this was a very clever idea. We like wine, so a friend of ours put together for us a box of 3 nice bottles of wine and then labeled them for upcoming life events. So like the first bottle was first New Year's, second bottle, first anniversary, and then the third bottle was first fight. Pretty good, right? Pretty cute. The only issue I had was that the first fight wine was a white, which means that it has to be chilled. So this means during the fight, I gotta be like, is this the fight? Because I gotta put the wine in the fridge. I don't know, it feels like you're ramping up. You got another 20 minutes in you, or what do you think? We don't want to drink hot fight wine.
I don't have an issue with Prince Harry, but I'm starting to have an issue with how much I keep hearing about Prince Harry. So I'm starting to have an issue with Prince Harry. And he said he was leaving the royal family for privacy, his words. But ever since he's moved, all he's done is do a Netflix reality TV series, a tell-all book, and now a Spotify podcast. Not the most private activities, Harry. To the tune of $100 million. And his book should have talked about how awesome it is to be the prince, how awesome it is to have everything, get any private jets, any backstage passes you want. But the mistake he made was he was kind of whiny in the book. He was like, my brother was mean to me. He pushed me, and he hung out with his friends. Sounds like you have a normal older brother. And people feel bad for him. They're like, he was born into a job. He was born into an institution. Every human is born into a job. He's the only one born into a job where you don't have to do a job. And when he moved to Hollywood, was it hard? No. I have a friend that moved to LA and lived in a Walmart parking lot in his car. And after a year, he moved back to Sevierville, Tennessee with his parents. People should feel bad for Douglas. But do they? No, they do not. They make fun of Douglas. They're like, I can't believe you thought you'd make it. He's like, I know, I suck. Prince Harry moved to LA. Oprah hooked him up with Tyler Perry's Mansion, which is a Tyler Perry movie I would like to see. With Prince Harry played by Tyler Perry. Meghan played by Tyler Perry. Oprah, Tyler Perry. Tyler Perry played by Idris Elba. And Princess Kate played by Meghan Markle. She's a solid actress. And Prince William played by Matt Damon. Call it Trading Places 3, Medea Takes Sussex. I saw that R. Kelly was arrested after an FBI agent watched his Lifetime docuseries. And it made me wonder, is the FBI finding out about crime the same way I am? Just friend referrals on what's bingeable. Should we arrest Robert Durst? Let's look at the tomato meter first. Yeah, he's doing well. I have a friend that watches murder documentaries because she said it'll help her avoid murderers. But I feel like murderers are also watching murder docs, or as they call them, tutorials. And because we're in North Carolina, I want to ask you about the most interesting murder doc I'm aware of, The Staircase. Are you familiar? Happened in the Durham area. There's a documentary, and how many of you have heard of the owl theory? Yes, a bunch of you, right on. Yeah, it kind of combines birds and murder docs, so it's like really right up my alley. But basically, if you watch the Staircase documentary, this husband goes to jail, even though there's really no motive, no murder weapon, no evidence. There's no evidence. The whole trial, the prosecuting lawyer is just like, I mean, he is the husband. And the jury's like, yeah, he does seem like he's the husband. And the judge is like, husband! Send him away. And the neighbor first put out the owl theory, which is that there's an owl. That sounds crazy, right? That an owl did it. Until you hear the evidence. There was an owl that hung out in their neighborhood all the time. Owl killings, though rare, have happened. In her hair, they found owl feathers. And on her hands, traces of owl feathers. The murder scratches matched talons. And it happened at night. That's owl time. But this local detective was like, owl feathers, talon marks, husband. She could be attacked by a shark and people would be like, how do you think he pulled that off? You think he dressed as a shark or... I never liked that guy. But as an avid bird watcher, it made me wonder if you're killed doing something you love, would that take the sting off just a little bit? Seeing birds you've never seen before. Wow, a barred owl. And it's looking right at me. Let me see those binoculars. That's not a barred owl, that's a great horned owl. No, it's not, Frank. Don't mansplain owls to me. You can hear from its distinctive barred owl call, who cooks for you? Listen, who cooks for y'all? Hear that? No, it's not. It's doing the distinctive great horn call. It's saying, who's awake? Me too. Frank, do you know one thing about birds? If you, the owl strikes, he strikes, they both did it. They were in cahoots. I said it. They were in cahoots. Send him to Alcatraz. I had to say it. I had to say it. You notice that groan? Thank you. Please note that groan as evidence. Because after every show, some guy will be like, dude, you should have said it was a whodunit. But if I say it's a whodunit, y'all hate me and groan. And then if I don't say it's a whodunit, 4 dads are like, man, missed opportunity. Oh boy, if you'd thought of that, man, you would have blown the roof off the place. Whodunit, man. Go back to the writing board, man. Let's see. Did anybody else almost join a cult the last couple of years? Almost join a cult. I was watching the HBO documentary about the Nixium cult, and I don't think HBO meant it as a recruiting tool. But they look like they're having a lot of fun up there, upstate New York. Their little bubble community, playing volleyball. I'm like, how do I join y'all's cult? Sir, it's a self-help community. Well, I am brainwashed already. Sign me up. The most susceptible people to cults are overly trusting and seeking community. That's my Myers-Briggs. It's bad. But ultimately, I don't think I'd join a cult because I don't like doing chores. Which is why I was thinking maybe I start a cult, just get the gravy, and actually that's why you're here tonight. I am doing some recruiting, and follow me, I'll teach you the meaning of life, which is to do chores for me. But, you know, cult leaders have a horrible reputation, but we only ever hear about the charismatic ones that got famous. The ones that made it. You never hear about the other 10,000 guys that were like, follow me. And people were like, no, you're annoying, Derek. Oh. Guess I'll just keep selling potato chips. I didn't mean to roast potato chip salesman on that one. I know I'm susceptible to cults because of the one time I went to Bikram hot yoga. After 10 minutes, I already finished my little coconut water, and I'm dizzy. I didn't realize how hot it got. I'm like, I'll just step outside. And as I get to the door, the instructor goes, "Hey, where are you going?" And I'm so shocked to be called out in yoga that I was honest. I said, "I'm going outside because I'm hot." He goes, "I need you to stay here where I can see you so that I know you're okay." Okay, but I'm not okay. That's why I was leaving. But I can't say no to people. I struggle to say no, so I just returned to my mat, and I was like, I guess I'll just grind this out for 80 more minutes. I made it 10 more minutes, and then I was definitely dehydrated. And I'm looking at the door, I'm like, I'm just gonna make a run for it. I start gathering my things in fake downward dog. He comes over, he goes, "Everything okay?" I'm like, "Please let me leave. I'm an adult man. I'm paying you $12 to be here. I'll pay you $40 to let me go." And he said, "If you're too hot, you can just lay down on your mat. You'll be fine. It'd be better for the rest of the class if you didn't leave." And I'm looking at the rest of the class. They're avoiding eye contact. So I just lay down for 70 more minutes, just so hot and so angry. Like, I hope I die so this guy gets fired. I hope I die loudly so it's worse for the class. Just furiously obedient. The class ended. I was fine, unfortunately. But I went home and looked up Bikram. They're trained not to let anybody leave because once one person leaves, everyone will leave. And I recently learned it went bankrupt, so I win. I win the law. I hung in there for the win, yeah. So I have been told many times that I have a soothing voice. And so I thought it'd be nice to do some soothing affirmations to really finish on what I was made to do. And so I'll just say a positive affirmation and you guys repeat it back and we'll all feel amazing. Sound good? Great. I am blessed with this life. Hashtag blessed. That felt so good, didn't it? It did. I have released all irrational fears and replaced them with real fears. Okay, good. A little mumbly, but good. I forgive everyone who has ever left me. Except for Beth. Go ahead. Nice. Yes, thank you, sir. He said it like he meant it. Yeah, some passion. I look really good thanks to this new coat from Banana Republic. Thank you. I just got an extra 10 grand for that. Appreciate it. I am actually a better overall person than Tony Robbins. I am not currently being indoctrinated into a cult. Thank you. Nice, thank you. And lastly, I understand the intricacies of the Israel-Palestine conflict. And ultimately, I stand with Tibet. Asheville, thank you so much. I'm Joe Zimmerman. I appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed the show. Thank you so much for coming out. I shouldn't have given myself roses. Thank you so much. Thank you. Wow, you're standing? I'm delighted. Wow, this feels good. This feels nice. Thank you. Thank you for giving me roses. All right, I'm gonna leave. You're the best. This is crazy. I mean, I shouldn't have. Thanks again, Asheville. I'm really going this time. I appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed it. Namaste.